Can you hear me?
Hello, I'm Inga Wismer, and today I'm a host for the show for Noneillah talk show and on New Jersey Central Network, right?
Mhm.
And I will be interviewing Naomi Johnson, who is a fashion designer and who is a mother um, of DeSean Johnson, whose life was tragically cut short. And I would like to interview you and ask about your journey today.
Okay, thank you, Ingram. Inga, I call you Ingram. I just gave you a whole new name, girl. Um, well, my journey has been a tough one, very tough one. The Noneillah talk show, actually, Noneillah, is in honor. I don't like to say remember. I don't need any word to associate my son is no longer physically on this earth. I know spiritually he's here, but physically he's not.
Yes.
So Noneillah, I give you a little, backstory on Noneillah. Noneillah is my son's brand.
Yes.
He's a well-known underground musician, hip hop artist. He does hip hop. He doesn't do that gangster rap. No trap music, no gangster rap, no ballads. He does and gospel rap. He does rock rap. So he does genre like that of type of music. So anyway, when he sang, he rap, he always put Noneillah. He says Noneillah, which is his tagline.
What does that mean for him?
Actually, Noneillah means no one is better than him. So when he's rapping, he would
Oh,
go, Noneillah, mean no one better than me.
well, that's pretty powerful
Right.
and empowering,
Right.
right?
So if you look at the time, if you break out phonetically, the word none, as we know definition, none means no one, none. In a slang word, ill means good. I mean, ill can mean sick too, but and then after that, colloquial, sick mean good in slang
Right,
word.
right, yeah, sick.
So
It's like it's so
right.
sick, right?
So don't ask me he got the H. I guess he feel like throw AH in it. So actually, when he first created the word Noneillah, he used different word. He spelled it differently. It's online too. Noneillah. Yeah, that was it. Is a block, and I'm still trying to pronounce that one. Noneillah.
Yeah, because I wasn't sure how to pronounce it, you know?
So I was Noneillah. So blog. So he was Sean M. So when he first started, he was Cosmos, Sean
This is
M.
why I have Cos on my
Right.
dress, right?
That's
I'm
what
wearing right now.
Cos. And then he was Cosmos. Then after that, he was Sean M. Then he went to Sean Mason. Then before his tragic departure off this earth, he went to Sean Cos Mason, and he spelled it what we see now, Noneillah, which is trademark brand. And so he would go perform. He used to perform different locations like Real the Radio in upstate New York. Actually, I used to think upstate New York was in New York, but it's New Jersey. Yeah, I didn't know that. So he would go there and perform there. So he was well known in the underground hip hop community. So he performed so many places.
Did he play any instruments?
No, he wanted to. He wanted to play drums. That's what he was into.
Okay, and singing.
And singing. Yeah, he sung as well, and he rapped. So, but he did have interest, and actually he had interest in playing the instrument, and he also produced some of his music. He wrote his own music. Um, he did a lot. He was a college student. He went to Kane University.
It's my alma mater as well. So I graduated from Ken.
He went to Essex County College. I had attended Essex County College. And he was in the honor society at Montclair High School. He had high honor classes. He was very intelligent, and as a former teacher, I taught him because I used to teach my son. These are, I never told him this a level. I didn't believe in level, oh, second grade, third grade level.
Yeah.
I told him words is the words. And see, that's the thing. People intimidate kids when you put them like, put label on it. Oh, this
Yeah.
is seventh grade level. This is seventh grade
Yeah,
level.
or you're behind, you need remedial classes,
Right.
like that kind of things. Yeah.
So I never, because kids become fear. Oh, this is word too hard. No, it's not. This is words. Just sign it out.
Absolutely.
And so that's how I taught him. So this is how come my son was always like 2 grades ahead of his time.
Because he was not afraid to try more difficult things, because he didn't see them as, first, they were easy for him, and second, you did not, put labels, right?
No, I didn't, because again, I said it's the labels. It's just crazy, labels. Then that's the thing with society. Always label things. This is a label. Label it. Ethnical label. This is a label. Clothing label. Again, I just said these are words.
Yeah.
My son went to school. Actually, I took him to college with me when he was younger. When I went to Ramapo College, he sat in class with me at DeSean County College, and I guess my son said, "Mom, I ain't going no more school with you. You stay in college. I'm here. I'm done." So which really helped him actually with his words, because he was always in college with me. So as a single parent.
How old was he when you started college?
Oh, actually, I was in college already. I didn't have him at the time, so I had set out from some financial burden that my family put me into on a hard time. So I had to set out a semester. So I worked and I saved up money to go back to school. And when I did, that's when I found out I was pregnant. And so when I had my son at 2, I had to go get my transcript back to Ramapo. Then I went to Essex County College when I had finished college, and I started working in the school system. Thank you for the New York school system. Wound up paying off for my associate. They paid everything. I was in debt, and they paid it all off.
Wonderful.
And then after that, I went on to Thomas Edison, Jersey City University. Oh, I can go on and on.
And you graduated with your bachelor's, and
I have a
teaching
associate degree and I have a bachelor's degree. One in early childhood elementary education and one in early childhood.
Okay. So which grades were you teaching in New York school district?
I taught 7th grade, and the subject that I was teaching was health, math, and science.
Very nice.
Yes. And I also taught at a private school, Chad Elementary, that was in Newark.
Okay. Wow. So you had quite a journey, because you transitioned from being a school teacher to now a fashion designer, right?
Yeah, this was not my choice. Actually, when I was in high school, I did want to become a fashion designer because I was like the glamour, the lights, the clothing, beauty. And I'm like, oh, one day I want to be a fashion designer. I went to Clifford J. Scott. It's no longer there, but that's what I went to in East Orange. And I also had attended West Side High School, which is in Newark. So that's what I went to. Unfortunately, how I became a fashion designer because of what happened to my son. Well, my son.
Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah. When my son would go perform, and I would say to him, I said, "Well, DeSean, when you go perform," his name is Sean Cosmates. His biological name is DeSean Johnson, but his stage name is Sean Cosmason. And I said, "Well, DeSean, when you go perform, you need to give people your T-shirts, because I already had like a deal working with distribution company to do print, because like what I have on and the little dress that you have on. See, we matching everybody. Love.
We do. It's really beautiful.
And so
this is the photos that DeSean took.
The photo DeSean, his photographer, took, and he used Photoshop to put all this other colored imagery into it. And so I said, well, you know what, you need to have like on-demand T-shirt when you go perform and give it to your fan. He's like, well, okay. So he was going to start his T-shirt. So he was like a designer. Actually, he was doing graphic design. I went to school at Bloomfield College. I did web design. I took up web design and computer graphics.
So you knew how to
Yeah.
design clothes, and that's where
Yes.
you.
I have a lot of secrets there, a lot of talents that I have, even hidden ones that no one knows. Good ones
Yeah.
now. So I went there, and I also went to Bloomfield College. I took up teaching English as a foreign language, so I'm certified to teach around the world.
Oh, that's
Yes.
wonderful. ESL, right? English is second
Mhm.
language.
So back to how I got into it. So after what happened with the driver, New Jersey Transit, public transportation vehicle, the driver was operating the New Jersey Transit. Well, he was a Coach USA driver operating New Jersey Transit. And my son, he was on his way to work. And I was taking my mom to the eye doctor, well, to the hospital, to St. Barnabas to get an eye operation. And I know when my mom came, didn't know she was going to stay the summer with me. When she came, she like, I'm going to get an eye operation. And it was my sister and her plan without me into the plan. It was like, caught me off guard. And my mom like, I have an appointment July the 18th. When she said that number, I had like chills in my body.
Ooh.
Yes, and the spirit was telling me, spend time with DeSean.
Ooh.
Spend time with DeSean.
Oh, it gave me goosebumps.
And I'm like, what? What? Not knowing. And at 18, my son was killed. July the 18th. Thank you. His life was taken. He was on his work. And the spirit, like, to have him with me, he was supposed to be with me. So I don't know. It was like foreseen, the future. I don't know what you call it.
You had the premonition.
Premonition way before it happened.
But you didn't trust it.
I didn't know. And I had a dream about my son when he was 2 years old. And it was an accident. I got up, woke up like crying. I'm like, oh, no, DeSean. And in the spirit, like, oh, no, he was right there. So you had 12 more years to be with him. So it's not, I didn't know was my life was going to get taken or his life.
Oh, when he was 10, it was 8 years. No, it was 12 years prior to.
And 10 plus 12 is 22 when my son got killed.
And you had him at 22.
And I had him at 22.
So 22 is not a good number for you.
Nor 18. Nor 5. My son was born March the 5th. And his friend Noble was taken first where I used to live at. In Montclair. She lived right there.
The girl that you showed me the photo of. Yeah, she was his close friend, and her life.
I watched her grow up. And when her life was taken, my son knocked on the door. He said, Mom, Noble got killed. I said, what do you mean? How? What are you talking about? He said, New Jersey Transit vehicle, the BUS, hit her. And they had all these lies about her. They had these lies about her. Told so she was chasing her child. Now, as mother, we're not going to have our child just run out in the street. And he was 2 years old. But transit, in the paper, that's what they told. That was their story. And then it was on Montclair Patch. And people had comments. Do you know all those comments are gone?
Oh, they were removed.
Yes, they was removed. And the guy said, I watched that young lady, and she had the right of way. It was the driver's fault because he was on the phone.
Oh. So
what happened was she had the right of way. She was stepping out, and when she saw it, she was trying to hurry up and get out the way. So what she did, she pushed her son out the way, and it wound up ended her life. If she was not reacting to push her away, it would have been both of her and her son. Oh. Do you know what they did? They sat there and they blamed her. They blamed her for her demise. Not the guy who did it, not the driver who did it. Coach USA driver who ended her life. And when I saw her mother, I just looked and I say, I just cannot imagine. I kept looking at her and I just like, I cannot imagine, but not knowing I was looking at the reflection of me. 5 months and 27 days later. my son life get taken in
Oh,
Bloomfield, New Jersey,
so you
on
were
board
in
and
her,
back.
you were in the same horrible, you experienced the same horrible loss as you before heard of, right?
Yeah. And before what happened to my son, he had was on Twitter and he tweeted, you promote his music because he was getting ready to do a video. And he had the music video set up for the 19th of July. But he didn't know that he was not going to be here.
Did he have any kind of premonitions or anything that he told you prior
No,
a few days? Nothing.
nothing,
Nothing.
nothing.
Wow.
I know that he thought that my life was going to be taken because this guy a female who I grew up with, I call her Uncle Charles because his niece and I grew up together.
Mm-hmm.
And so my son was spending the night over there because they had a music studio. Their son had a music studio there, and he had fell downstairs, and my son was up because he was up late at night, producing his music. And later on, he came to me. He said, "Mom, Uncle Charles almost died," and he kept saying, "Oh, those Haitians trying to kill me. Those Haitians, yes,
And this who
Uncle Charles."
yeah, he was.
And they told him when they rushed into the hospital, they said if my son was not up, he would have transitioned. He would have transitioned. But not knowing, and that was like 3 weeks before my son's life got taken. So Wilson remain.
So it sounds like there was kind of almost a web of connection between him and his friend whose life was taken, and between you and your son, and now between you and all these other people that you have. If we could go to the picture of all the people whose life have been taken by New Jersey Transit. Um,
Right.
so tell me about these people. Did you meet their relatives, and did you hear their stories?
Well, I know one of the mothers from one of the picture had reached out to me after what happened to my son, the young man, all the way, the small picture, all the way down the back with the yellow in the back. Tony, his name is. His mother reached out to me when it happened to my son on YouTube, on my son music page on YouTube, his
Hmm.
YouTube channel. And she said, "Oh, my son Tony was just like your son." And I'm like, "Huh?" And she like, reach out to me, but I never did. How she wound getting connected with me because my son, when his friend named James was working at Best Buy, and she was there, and she was looking for something for her other kids, and somehow James and her got in a conversation. And so when she was telling James' story, he like, "Oh my gosh, that's my best friend." And she said, "Really?" I reached out to her. See how the unit, see when things, my grandma always said, when things happen in the dark, it always come out in the light.
Oh yes, there's no secret. Everything
No,
gets revealed later,
exactly.
sooner or later.
And so she said, "Oh, give her my number." So he gave me her phone number and I reached out to her. So she started telling me everything about how they cover up her son's, meaning they New Jersey Transit, cover up her son. Her son's life was taken by a train.
How old was your son?
Her son was 17.
Oh.
Life was taken by a train. Nothing. They cover that up. And she has been fighting and fighting and fighting. No justice for her.
Has it been healing for you to connect and learn for other people who are in the same situation as you
No,
are?
it's not had been healing. Actually, it's been more painful to see other mothers like me grieving without the chapter is not closed because there's no justice. It's just sweeping under the rugs, covering it up. No justice for these lives. Nothing. All these faces, only 3 people up there had life. The driver had went to jail. The guy in the blue who coaches a driver ended his life, and the guy above him with the hat,
Mm-hmm.
his driver went to jail. And the guy on the left, the above the 1, 2, 3 row up, down, above, his driver, community service. What's community service?
Yeah,
But all those other lives,
it
nothing.
was just swept
These
in.
drivers, what they do, the union, transportation union, they put these drivers back on the road. And guess what? They reward them with a paycheck. They get a paycheck, and they right back on go. They get a pension. They go home to their family. Reach out to politicians. They don't pass law. Nothing happened to these drivers. Nothing.
So, what is the way to bring justice to all these people and your son? Like, what do you think would raise awareness and open eyes of the public and the attorneys and the justice system? What
Well,
can be
I
done?
had spoke to some criminal attorneys. They say an only way to really push this justice and fight to get the people involved. And see, with some people, they were like, "Hey, it's not my loved one. Why should I fight? I don't care. It's not. It's not affecting
So
me."
the more people get
Right.
involved, the more petition gets
Right.
signed by higher number of
If
people.
you look at history, when there's somebody's life is taken, what they do, they protest, they force them, and what politicians don't like to be a brunt of bad news. They don't like to be aired all over TV. So you forcing them to do it, and guess what? They're gonna wind up bending down and do that, along with the prosecutor. It's like the corruption run deep. I had this guy on the talk show from he was the chief of compliance for New Jersey Transit, which you can find actually on YouTube. Todd Beretta, and he goes into detail about the corruption and how they cover these lives up, from the courthouse system, the judge,
because it's the government and
it's
they're all
right.
kind of connected.
The attorneys, even my attorney, wound up paying off my attorney. To this day, I'm fighting for justice. I'm taking 2 attorneys to court.
And this is your next step, right?
Right, and because they took my money. They are not doing, not doing anything, not helping. They sit there and say they're going to help, and what they take my money. They're like, "Oh yeah, this is corruption." I put some of the evidence online. This is what I'm talking about because it's online. You can go on YouTube with the conversation of the attorneys.
Yeah.
They like, "Oh, we're going to help and help." Next thing you know, they sit here stringing me along, keeping the money.
I mean, this is absolutely not right. Already you have been wronged so much, and the last thing you need is attorney who, takes your money and doesn't do their work, right? Because your whole purpose right now is to seek justice for DeSean. Right?
Yes.
This is what you have been.
DeSean, and not only that, all the other lives was taken.
All
these victims, drivers need to be held accountable.
Yes.
New Jersey Transit don't care about safety at all. They don't. Their mission statement say safety is our priority, and Coach USA driving to the best. And they got a nerve to hire more drivers, because they lacking drivers, but they're not training them.
Wow, this is really bad, right? If you have no training, this is...
And this is what you get. And it's more people. If you Google justice for New Jersey Transit and Coach USA victim, you see names, because some pictures not released. It's more.
Yeah, personally, I was not aware of the situation until I attended your Women Expo fashion show, where you were a fashion designer and I was modeling for you, and then I learned the story of your son, and I learned about the story of all these victims that lost their life before their time because of New Jersey Transit. And I was surprised that there was not more awareness, because obviously I read news, it was not there.
You know why it's not there? Because New Jersey Transit lawyer trolled the internet and they remove it. When I had the other guests on, I had the email which states, when the editor was saying, "Oh, they got a visit for New Jersey Transit lawyer," and the New Jersey Transit lawyer demand them, not ask, but demand them to take the article down. Why? Because it was exposing all the evidence. Mm-hmm. And so this is why when you Google, you don't see that much, because now you got people think, "Oh, this doesn't happen all the time. It doesn't happen all the time." Of course, if you're removing the article.
Yeah. This is so wrong and so unfair that there's no there's no information, no justice. I see why you're fighting every day to for this justice to be served, and I hope it will be.
I hope to, and I speak into existence. I had attorneys told me. I remember one attorney showed me images of my son's remains. All in the will, the attorney, the judge, the retired judge, Judge Lawson, he did this to me alone. I was with the attorney, Bryant, and he like, "Oh, I'm going to show images of your son, and I'm going to tell you to leave." He didn't do that. He did not do that at all.
Oh my God.
And I suffer with these images. of my son remain.
I'm so
I suffer. It haunts me every day, and I'm tired. People like, oh, at least you living, at least you breathing. People don't realize people exist because you're existing. That don't mean you're living. There's a
yes.
difference.
But you channel this pain, this anguish of a mother who lost her beloved child into beauty, into hope, and you did this clothesline, Noeillah clothesline. If you could put the photos of you as a fashion designer, um,
Right there, yeah.
you did this beautiful fashion show where where you celebrated your son's life and you brought awareness about all this. So tell me, how did you like I know you said that you wanted to be a fashion designer and you had some design experience, but I think there is more to it. How does it help you heal? How do you channel? How do you transmute that grief into this beauty?
Well, it's no healing, and I don't call it celebrating because celebration means happy. Not saying that who's happy for murder. I can see if your child is ill because you have preparation. What I call it honoring them.
Honoring your son.
Yes, honoring my son as well as the victims' lives were taken because no one's not gonna do it. So people need to know that just not my son's life was taken, all of these lives were taken. As you heard my speech on the stage,
Yes.
I said I'm the voice for the voiceless. Today they make things something abnormal normal. They used to it. They numb to this. They numb to these lives are taking. And my son, he went to King University, and they had the scholarship in his name right there. So they started a scholarship in his name because he was a business major at King University. And then that's me with the president of King University holding one of the recipient who got the DeSean Johnson scholarship. So every year, anonymous donor donates to his scholarship.
This is
And
beautiful.
yes,
This is for somebody who can benefit from receiving these funds, right, and
right.
achieving their dreams.
And I also sell the products online to raise money, to donate to the scholarship in my son's memory.
What kind of products?
Well, I do clothing, I do graphic and design, I do everything. You name it, you Google Noneillah fashion, and you will see it.
Naomi, we're running out of time. We have only, so I just wanted to, I really thank you for letting me interview you and hearing your story. And I really hope this raises awareness and people will know that a lot of things are people are being silenced, people like you and people like other family members of those victims. So I really appreciate this opportunity to talk to you and learn your story.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We can continue to communicate on Facebook because now we're on Facebook.
Okay.
I just want to go to other slide with the they did a proclamation in my son's name. They meaning Bloomfield, because my son's life was taken in Bloomfield, New Jersey, on Broad Bay. When I asked why they didn't do it, I've been trying to get a name in his name. A street, excuse me, in his name or a plaque there. They won't do it. They said, "Oh, we can do a plaque in the park because there's a park." I said, "Why would you want to do a plaque in a park? My son's life wasn't being taken in the park." I said, "A memorial happened when a person's life was taken when they took their last breath on this earth, not in the park." So when you want it in
It's
the park,
irrelevant, right?
right?
Like
You
why
want
park?
to so we want to plant a tree in his name so it'll be there forever. Why? So to me, that's still more cover up. That's what it is. Who's going to know? People see, oh, the tree grows and put a name on the tree, the DeSean tree, but who's going to know? They're going to think his life was taken in the park.
Or he just peacefully passed
Right.
from natural causes or something like that,
Yes.
right?
So I told her, I said, no, because it didn't happen in the park. It happened on Broad and Bay. The driver he sped up and aimed the vehicle towards my son and ran him over twice and then dragged him. The people on the public transportation told him to stop, not once, not twice, but 3 times. And he kept going. He kept going. And this is not alleged because I have the document to back up what I'm saying. And it's online because I put some of the evidence online. If they just do DeSean Johnson or DeSean College Scholarship, they will see this. They will see the images and everything. It's all online.
Oh, that must be really hurtful for you to see those.
It's painful and
images.
it's angering me because my son, who's a pure soul and a nice young man, and who had a future,
Yes.
he just not was a college student. He was a young entrepreneur
Mm-hmm.
who ran Noneillah. Because Noneillah was his baby, it was his brand. He said, Mom, I'm doing all this so I can make money to take care of you because you took care of me the rest of my life. It's time for me to take care of you. How many young kids you hear want to do something like that? It was always, what are you going to do for me, Mom? Mom, you the mother, what you going to do for me? You don't hear that.
He was so caring and loving. He just like the best son you could hope for. Somebody who wanted to support you, and now you are using this brand for kind of raising for
Justice for DeSean.
justice for DeSean. Yes. So it's almost like you mirror images of each other. Like
Yes.
you're noticing how there's a common thread between you and him. You're like oscillating between. And I'm sure you have a lot of connection with him now as he is in spiritual realm, right?
Yes, I have a lot of people don't believe in, oh, once you're off this earth, you're off this earth. No, you're not. You're not off this earth. You know, I call it recycled spirits we have. You're not off this earth. Your spirit is still, it's energy.
Yes.
Energy. Everything around us is energy. So when you off this bodysuit, because this is all it is. This is bodysuit. This is a suit for us.
It's just temporary
Yes.
thing we have, right?
It's just a shell for us to adapt in this natural realm.
Yeah. And then we have to shed it.
Exactly.
Later, right?
And we go back to our home.
Yes.
Back into the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Back into the energy. And so that's how come your loved one is still around.
But do you believe in reincarnation?
You know what? At one point, no, I did not. But since I'm going through this spiritual connection journey with my son, I do.
So where do you think he is right now?
With energy, they can be all over the place because, see, with the flesh, we got to be just one place. But energies could be all over. It could be here right now.
Yes, it could be a little bit here, a little bit there. It's not all in one place.
It's in segments.
Yeah, this is what I learned from my mom, because my mom hated my best friend. And when my mom committed suicide, I was wondering where her spirit is. But then I realized the same day when she died, that friend that found her, my best friend in Russia, the one that I visited in Dubai, she gave birth to her daughter on the same day. So part of my mom's spirit went into this beautiful child.
And that's what it is. You know, we like when it happened to my son came to me in my dream and he said, Ma, he said, it was not my fault. That's what he told me in my dream. He said, Ma, it was not my fault. He saw me, meaning the driver. He said, according to the book. I'm like, what the heck is a book? What are you talking about? The book. And so my sister looked, she said, the book of life. Those who believe in Christianity call it book of life. And some people who don't believe in Christianity, they call it the Coxter record.
Or karma, or like something that's going to fate that you have?
No, they say like the Coxter record is like, we have aura, we have energy. So it's, when they said a book of life is not actually a book, it's like I spirit, as someone told me, and I saw it keeps a record of people who believe in reincarnation. It keeps a record all the life that you have lived. You know, so what was explained to me from a spiritual person, they said you can be reincarnated, but you still can be in the next realm because I thought cannot hold. We don't have all our soul or all our spirit, one of the two, and it could still be in different places.
There's segments, yes. Mm-hmm.
And they said that's how come when you have dreams. I don't know if you ever had it. You have dreams, and you thought you was a certain place before. You visit.
Oh, like deja vu kind of, where you recognize.
Yeah, like I've been there before.
those situations that I know that, oh, it feels like home. You go somewhere and it just like feels you
Right.
belong. It's your home, but it's a foreign place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. And the other one with the driver and the attorney, with that one, it shows this driver had all this infraction right here, and they still allowed him to drive. You insulted the police. You sped. Had sped and got a ticket, but he sped and killed my son. Come on, he didn't end someone's life, but he's speeding. But when he was speeding, he ended my son's life. And the prosecutor had lied. Tom Finley said, "Oh, the driver wasn't speeding. He wasn't speeding." I said, "Just call what you call that when you gravity, law of gravity.
Yeah.
If he was driving slow, my son would have been injured alive. This impact, if he was speeding, because the speeding while my son is not here. So you can't tell me he wasn't driving slow, because he would have been injured." And I read a lot of articles. Some driver was driving and they had ended somebody's life, or they injured them.
So speeding was
The speeding was
the reason
yes,
why he died.
right.
Yeah.
If you see somebody who's not speeding, they drive a certain, like probably 30 miles or whatever, the person will get hit and they will be injured.
Yeah.
But when, like the lady I had here last week, she was talking about the speed limit. So if you're driving 50 and up, and the driver road is, say, what, 25 miles on a
Yeah.
city road. So speeding was the cause of it. And this driver on the left, Whistle Remain, was speeding. And the attorney in the middle is Mike Tuzo, who covered up for the driver for my son. And the video is on YouTube. I put the prosecutor video when the prosecutors told the driver, Mike Luger, he said to Wilson Remain, "You didn't do anything wrong. You didn't do anything wrong by murdering my son, vehicular homicide." And Tuzo, he says, "Oh, remember, you didn't see anything." I cannot, it's on YouTube. I can't make this up.
But there were witnesses that you found,
Yes.
right?
Yes, and we did a protest. And the protest, I didn't have that video. The protest, someone called my son's friend, mother, and said, "There's a video on the vehicle. Get the video." No video. And somebody for transit had called and told them about it. They say, "We service the public transportation. Get the video." Gone. All this evidence. People are like, "Well, why the FBI is not in it? Why is this not on national news? Why is this keeping them?" I didn't know. Even the lady who I had here, she said, "I didn't know all these lives was taken." I said, "Yes."
I do know somebody that was hit like by the New Jersey Transit train, and like when I was still in college, and there was person who was just standing on a platform, and like I guess and nobody really talks about it. You see what I mean?
Because they call them trespassing when they on the tracks. They say, "Oh, they should not be on the tracks," just like with the guy was on the the lady who I told you her son was hit by the train.
Yeah.
And they like, "Oh, he was on the track. You're not supposed to be on the tracks. Even if you're on the ground or you're above ground, you shouldn't be on the tracks." So that's how they cover that up. They trespassed. Yes. Okay. But what about these vehicle on the road? Oh, is they blame the victim? It's the victim. No, the driver is speeding. The driver jumped the curb. Like they were saying, "Oh, your son shouldn't be." The Mike Tuzo, I read an email he told to my son's attorney Brian. To myself, "Oh, you need to teach your client not to run after the vehicle." That's what he said. He made that asinine remark. Yes. And so I read Brian like, "Hold on, how would you say something like that? You're a father too, and this is how you talk about this young man's life has been taken." Yes.
Because he has children of his own,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
This attorney,
yes.
right?
I can't make this up. And I put that conversation right online so people can see.
So were you able to find an attorney that was on your side and who would represent your best interests? Who actually?
They all paid them off. I had one attorney, Andrew. He was no good. He wanted having me signing 3 lawsuits, and one person who I know was attorney, like, "You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to sign it. You're supposed to settle and then sign it." Don't know what happened to it. No. Then I got the other 2 attorney, Mr. Hawkins and Frank Guzman right now, Eldred Hawkins and took my money.
Wow. Can you reach out to these people who did have justice served for them, those three individuals out of this picture, and see who represented
I
their
did. I
families?
reached out to the guy with the blue shirt, his attorney. I spoke with his attorney. And he said the thing is how they do it when you settle, they did not negotiate. They're like, no, we want this driver no longer driving. They reach out to the union. They said that's the only way we're going to settle if this driver is out the road. And he had Danny, I think his name, from Coach USA. It happened in New York. The Coach USA driver had hit him, and the guy was a cyclist, and the driver was speeding into the guy's life. Yes. And when I spoke to his lawyer, he said, this is what we're trying to do. We are taught to just take the money and do nothing else, no justice, just take the money.
Yeah.
He said, but I affirm what we do, we fight for it because these lives are taken all the time. He said, we go to the legislator and try to pass the bill. He said, because these drivers should be held accountable.
I think even if like a regular driver hits somebody inadvertently and kills that person, it's considered manslaughter.
Yes.
It is still a crime.
Yes.
It's a lesser sentence because it's not premeditated, but it's still a sentence.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
if I drive it accidentally without any, and it does happen. And I think that's, but if somebody, like you say, it was premeditated or like,
you know, they were like, oh, it's not like he woke up and injured your son's life. I said what I had read, one of the evidence that I find online, I did research. It was a complaint for New Jersey Transit. It's this complaint when you complain about them. So one of the anonymous person had actually said he was surprised that he saw my son's picture when he saw it in the newspaper.
mm-hmm.
And I can't remember verbatim what him said, but I'm going to ad lib. But you can Google DeSean Johnson. You'll see the screenshot of the conversation with this anonymous person and the driver. And the driver, my son was getting off the vehicle, the public transportation, and the driver was rushing my son. And the passenger, like, why are you rushing this young man? Because you know how when you get off, you got to make sure you have everything. And, so it was one of those numbers. And he was rushing my son, and it was like the driver was like, oh, you got to hurry up and get off. So, you know, and my son, like, why are you talking to me like that? You know, I'm just ad-libbing what this guy said. I can't, you know, when he was the conversation and what I read. And the driver, like, oh, if I do something to you in your life, I'm gonna still have my job. I can't make this up. When I read this, and I got the file, it's in the file.
So he knew that.
Yes,
he knew that.
Yes. When they was going to throw my son's file away. Andrew, the attorney, he was going to throw my son's file away. But I went to Al's Shopping Organization, and they said, do you have your son's file? I said, yes. He said, you don't have it all. I said, that's what they told me. He said, I bet you don't. When I got the file, I didn't have it all. Case this high.
Wow.
And when I saw all the unfolding of the corruption, I was taken back. Transit had paid a medical examiner to fabricate the documents. I can't make this up.
They just have a lot of money, and they have a lot of
all about the money and the cover up.
Because they have this union. I think that's where it's all stemming from, right?
To my son, the driver ran over my son on the left liver was the liver is not the liver is isn't the right liver in the what you call the document. It said my son right liver was damaged. We only have one. It's right here in the back.
Yeah,
it's not here on the left. Yeah, they had it on. They have it. The way they said the left one. Hold on. They said the left one and the liver is on your right. And the back somewhere here. I'm not good with the anatomy, so work with me. Those who know doctor, correct me on this. Right here. But in the report said it was right here.
Ah.
We have 2 kidneys now.
Yeah. But we don't have 2 livers. That's for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And the report said it was here, his liver, right here.
So they clearly, the report was just incorrect.
I found out when I had took the case to a funeral home who handled my son's body, and they looked at the medical report. They said, Naomi, this is all lies. They were the one pointing out to my attention, not I. You know, because, you know, they go to the, I guess, funeral mortician, they learned about the anatomy, and they the one who pointed out to me.
Ah, you didn't notice it, but
no,
they did.
They did.
That's how you.
I mean, I'm not gonna know. I didn't take up anatomy, but you know, because they took up the anatomy and they knew about it, they pointed out to me. They said this is a lie.
So they clearly, the report was just fake.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
This is so wrong that this is happening in this day and age, in this country, in this state that's supposed to be pretty democratic, liberal, like where human rights are, you know
Please.
what I mean? Like,
I reached out to the governor. I emailed him and I spoke to him in person. Blew me away.
wow. Murphy, right?
Yeah. Or I don't have anything to do with it like that. But come and find out, he passed a law for the guy who was on that chart, Thomas something. His life was taken by a train. And he passed a law for him. Thomas Ransby or Ransby, something like that. Passed a law for him, but not my son. Now, I have a petition here on there for justice for DeSean.
Mm-hmm.
The petition, right, right, the next one, yeah, there. Well, no, that's the article since the petition is not there. Can you go back to the article? Yes, see, that's the article that I have taken, seeking justice for my son. Man, that was my only child. And they're going to tell me to move on. Well, you got to smoke. What you call? He's talking about something to move on. How can you move on? As my son's life was amiss, it didn't mean anything. Move on. But yet this driver go to his family. So I had created the petition on change.org.
I don't think it's among
There it is.
Oh, okay.
And that's the change. Stop works the driver. You know what? The people got 800 or something signatures. But you know what? People are so set and think all these life is an accident or it doesn't happen that much. But as you see, it does. But when you have something petition for some ridiculous stuff, it goes like 2,000, 5,000 something. Or like I spoke to somebody, they said, you know what, you didn't have the right attorney who will fight for your son. They always think about money, that's all. But if you had the right attorney, that driver would have been in jail. That petition would have been passed.
Do you think that's right?
Yes. And there would have been a law in your son's name. I had spoke to Perkinson at one of our shopping organization, and he was like, oh, we need a law in your son's name. We need a street in your son's name. All talk, no air. I went to different grassroots social justice organization, no help, none at all. And you know why? Because it not benefiting them. I even went to this Black Lives Matter. To me, I think it's a joke. Yes, I really do. So they had shunned me away.
So I guess this was not on their agenda when you told them.
Exactly.
It says like, it was Black Lives, right? Like it's kind of your thing, what are you preaching, right? Right?
So Black Lives only matter when the person's life is taken by a police officer.
Oh, that's kind of, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, because I think this is how it originated.
Right.
Yeah.
But one woman who was a journalist, she said, your son's life is almost like Trayvon Martin. And I said, no, he was shot. My son wasn't. He said the corruption with the prosecutor, because they cover up his as well in the prosecutor office. And I said, oh, I didn't think about that.
There's a similarity.
Yes. See, I didn't think about that because the cover up with the prosecutor on the Chris Christie watch. And then goes on to Phil Murphy, nothing. I wrote to politician, nothing. They blew it away, no job. But yet Bob Menendez passed a law to protect the drivers. If a pedestrian or a passenger insult the drivers, injured the driver, according to the article, it's a free ride to jail.
Yes, it is. I know. I'm aware.
But
that I did know.
With the drivers ending these lives, there's no free ride to jail to them. They get a paycheck.
It's completely unfair. Have you reached out to the president of the country?
Oh, I did that too. Even when Obama was in office, nothing. Nothing.
Biden did not.
I never wrote to him.
You should probably try because he sounds like somebody who might care about this case.
Yeah, that's what they told me about Chris Christie. He sent me an email like, oh, I'm going to get into it. Never happened. Nothing. I have a letter from him. Nothing. And when he did respond, because I wrote to him twice, he didn't respond. But the second time he responded because it was towards election day.
Wow.
when it doesn't fit their agenda or is not international to give them like a boost up, a leverage up,
Yeah.
they don't
They don't
care.
really care. They're all politicians, right?
Yes, they're
They're
a
all corrupt.
politician. Yeah.
So what is your next step, considering everything you've been through and tried, and all the walls that you hit again? Like, what's the next step?
Well, you know what? I have a next step, but I'm the type of person I don't want to talk about it because I do a lot of meditation and fasting, and I don't want to put it out in the energy right now.
Oh,
So I'm waiting to manifest it.
you're gonna manifest the next
Yes,
step. And when the right time comes, the right circumstances,
that's what I'm going to
you will
manifest.
see the way.
Yes,
You will see
yes,
the way. I have a feeling that the justice will be served.
yes.
Son,
So
and
I'm
it will happen.
manifesting. Yes,
It will happen.
because again,
It
everything
will
happening in
happen.
dark always comes out light. You can't always keep on doing
Yeah.
corruption. These are lives. These are people who transition already because they can't deal with their loved one who is gone.
Oh, that's the
10-year-old
worst.
young guy, little boy, life was taken.
Oh.
The driver was talking to somebody and ended his life. Nothing happened to her driver. Nothing happened to her. Nothing happened to the little boy driver. She's still driving. A driver from New Jersey Transit, the driver was on cocaine.
Oh my God. It's horrible.
50 infraction on his license.
Was he in jail?
No, still driving. I can't make this up. I had the article last week on the show.
Like, if you're a regular driver, they basically have different standards for normal motorists and for those New Jersey Transit drivers. Because if a cop finds like I'm under influence of substance, I will lose my license.
Yes,
or I'll go to jail.
Exactly.
But they don't.
No, like Romaine, you saw his infraction. And not only that, his financial history, he was kicked out of his house. He broke an entry and it's all online. He broke an interest. It shows his. They don't do like psychological tests on these drivers. People are like, oh, I can't see a driver in a person's life. You don't know what's in that driver's mind.
Yeah.
They can have an argument with you and like, oh, I'm gonna fix them. You don't know. They're human. They would do things like this. This is what they do.
Yeah, but
I'm not saying all of them would do it, but you know what? You have somebody who would do that because they have this anger issue and they not test them from psychological problems. But what they do, they cover up the union. Okay. And all them in cahoots, from the union to the attorney to the prosecutor to you name it. The system. Our system need to be changed, revamped.
It does. Like, especially like now, I don't want to support New Jersey Transit after hearing this.
I don't support them. I don't give them none money. And not only the thing, the other thing is the passenger is paying for all these lawsuits because that's what he's getting. Every time you turn around, they're raising up the lawsuit because Coach USA was from Scotland somewhere. New Jersey Transit is what you call that? Not publicizing. They not go under the state of New Jersey anymore. So they private in like almost in the private sector.
I see. They have like a private company. Wow.
So they can I guess all the things is not on them, and this is why they always say accident. Mistake is you can correct, but these lives you can't. We only have one. There's no such thing of mistake when you take a human life or an animal life. There's none at all. There's no mistakes. You can't correct it.
Absolutely. I mean, so if you could say something to your son, if you could, like, what would you want him to know right now?
I would tell him, keep on helping me to get justice and other things I keep to myself.
But you need his help to
because ancestors, they help out the energy, God, whomever you believe in. You focus, you meditate, and you keep asking or the universe for that help, for that assistance.
So meditation has helped you to connect with that energy, with the answer. That will to fight.
Yes, the will to fight. And my son come in my dream crying to me, saying, "Mom, help me. I have these dreams. I live with these nightmares where they show me images of my son. This is like they victimized me, the attorney and everybody. And I got it on YouTube with the prosecutor. This is on YouTube. I cannot make this. I put the evidence on YouTube. Yes, I did. So people don't think, because that's what they're trying to paint you as you, the one who delusional. So since I had the evidence, I put it online so people see that I'm telling the truth. I have no need to lie. This
Do
is
you
truth.
write a blog about
I sure enough do.
everything? So you have
I have it on my Soality blog, and you know what? Transit lawyer had told my lawyer, told me stop writing. Yes, they did. They said stop writing.
Why? It's your personal blog.
To cover it up.
They have no right to tell you that.
They do that.
Wow.
Well, let's try to end this on Facebook. Actually, I want to give you a thank you gift for being in the show.
Thank you.
For being in Noneillah Talk Show. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. It was a pleasure talking to you and learning this. I'm really sorry this happened.
Well, everybody, thank you for watching Facebook Live.
I really hope Naomi will find justice for her son, DeSean.
At the Noneillah Talk Show at Central New Jersey Network. Support the TV station. Bye.